not alone, together we stand. I'll be by your side, you know I'll take your hand.
When it gets cold and it feels like the end, there's no place to go, you know I won't give in.
No, I won't give in. Keep holding on, 'cause you know we'll make it through, we'll make it through. Just stay strong, 'cause you know I'm here for you, I'm here for you. There's nothing you can say, nothing you can do. There's no other way when it comes to the truth. So keep holding on,
'Cause you know we'll make it through, we'll make it through.
so far away. I wish you were here before it's too late. This could all disappear before the doors close and it comes to an end. With you by my side, I will fight and defend. I'll fight and defend. Yeah, yeah. Keep holding on, 'cause you know we'll make it through, we'll make it through. Just stay strong, 'cause you know I'm here for you, I'm here for you. There's nothing you can say, nothing you can do. There's no other way when it comes to the truth. So keep holding on, 'cause you know we'll make it through, we'll make it through. Even when I say I believe that nothing's gonna change destiny. Whatever's meant to be will work out perfectly. Yeah, keep holding on, 'cause you know we'll make it through, we'll make it through. Just stay strong, 'cause you know I'm here for you, I'm here for you. There's nothing you can say, nothing you can do. There's no other way when it comes to the truth. So keep holding on, 'cause you know we'll make it through, we'll make it through. Keep holding
We would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners and custodians of the land on which we meet, the Bunurong people of the Kulin Nation. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging.
Good evening, staff, students, parents and wider Scopus community. Welcome to Chagiga 2020. Please stand for the singing of the national anthem and the school song.
Australians, all let us rejoice, for we are young and free. We've golden soil and wealth will dwell. Our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nations, feasts of beauty rich and rare.
there were to be a word that all encompassed this past year, it would undoubtedly be the word unprecedented. Never before have we been faced with living through countless lockdowns, working and learning online, and now having Chagiga 2020 as a virtual celebration.
We all thought that we were so clever when we labelled this year to be the year of 2020 vision. How ironic that nobody saw all of this coming. Nevertheless, through these challenges, students, staff, and the wider community have all risen to the challenge and have been able to achieve so much despite being faced with such adversity.
The creation of Scopus at Home brought all of the culture, liveliness, and desire for learning that our school possesses home with us. The inventive and driven student body did not falter to produce activities and initiatives to keep us all together. The teachers and staff members of the school have worked tirelessly to maintain engagement and excitement in and outside of the classroom, as well as ensuring that our school continues to function and thrive. Finally, the backbone of our school, the parents, have stood as the unwavering support systems for all of us students.
Accordingly, our school motto over this difficult time period has been getting through this together. And this has been truly reflected through the dedication of the entire Scopus community to stand as one united front. This past week, we celebrated Simchat Torah, marking the conclusion of this year's weekly Torah readings and beginning anew for the year ahead. We began by reading the book of Bereshit, which contains a very fitting message, whilst in the midst of such a challenging year. Bereshit does traditionally mark the beginning, yet it's important to recognize that the reading of the Torah is not conducted in a straight line, but in a cyclic manner.
This means that we are not leaving this year and all that we have learnt behind. Rather, we are taking the lessons we have learned and storing them in our characters so that in the coming year we can build on them and utilize them in our everyday lives.
Whilst this has been a difficult year for our community, the obstacles we have faced and overcome together have allowed us to grow, preparing us for whatever lies in our wake.
Now please welcome College President Amy Hershen.
We have just finished celebrating Simchat Torah, usually a time of unbridled joy. But in an interesting commentary, one of the great Talmudists, the Vilna Gaon, taught that the phrase V'samachta b'chagecha, quite literally, to rejoice during festivals, was the most difficult mitzvah in the entire Torah. Elie Wiesel highlights that Jews throughout the ages have managed to find joy in their Judaism throughout the most difficult times. And whilst this year we have not faced persecution, 2020 has been difficult. Like much of the school year, it is fitting that Chagiga 2020 is held virtually. And whilst all end-of-year celebrations are special, this Chagiga has added meaning for the entire Mount Scopus community. Students, teachers, and parents have come together, persevered, and even excelled through unprecedented uncertainty and obstacles. Throughout, we have propelled each other forward and held true to the mitzvah. It feels fitting in this COVID-interrupted year to paraphrase Louis Pasteur, the father of germ theory. Science knows no country because knowledge belongs to humanity and is the torch which illuminates the world. To all our students, Mount Scopus provides the spark that lights the torch of learning and inquiry. We aim as a school to instill in our students sound values and a love of learning, a school that fosters passion and moulds well-rounded students that upon graduation are ready to experience life and flourish. Although tonight is the celebration of a school's full life, Mount Scopus continues to grow and challenge itself to take risks and constantly improve. We are proud of the way the school and the entire community adapted to the unique challenges of COVID-19 while still striving to provide a top modern Orthodox school experience. We often talk of the school experience being a unique partnership between teacher, student, and parent. In 2020, this abstract notion became a significant reality with homeschooling for large parts of the year. I'm incredibly grateful and humbled by how we all work together to provide an unforgettable and enriching school year. Each year, the staff are thanked for the incredible job they do, and I will do so again tonight. But tonight, I would also like to highlight our Mount Scopus educators' wonderful ability to adapt and rapidly develop new virtual teaching-based skills, all the time continuing to foster our students' curiosity and love for learning. Your school has an incredible, ever-growing array of opportunities. Our teachers spend a great deal of time developing new programs that focus on building your potential and exposing you to the diverse world we live in, both within and outside the Jewish community. Our staff never accept the status quo. They are innovative and creative. I'd like to thank all the staff at Mount Scopus, the teachers and the support staff. I'd like to make mention of Jared Alford, Avi Cohen and Maddie Borowski, Greg Hannon, Sharon Stocker and Morris Wilson. Each one of you leads a different part of the school and you work tirelessly. All organisations are defined by their leaders, especially in challenging times. I would therefore like to pay special tribute to Rabbi James Kennard for his incredible leadership. You have the admiration and respect of the students, staff, and entire parent body. You continue to strive to make Mount Scopus the best it can be. It is a pleasure to work with you. Our senior staff work closely with the lay leadership of the school. Together, we hope to ensure that the Scopus experience of today continually raises the bar in educational excellence, but is also available to all who seek it. Accordingly, I'd like to thank the lay leadership of the school, including the College Council, the subcommittee, and the College Executive. They give of their time so the college can benefit from their expertise and wisdom. The College Executive, Natalie Bassett, Lisa Farber, Shane Goldberg, Anthony Goldman, Errol Katz, Naomi Lenger, Gary Starr, our dedicated treasurer, Raf Arndt, and importantly, Jonathan Tisha, our Vice President. Again this year, you have acted with assurance, compassion, and strength. The college relies on a very close relationship with the Foundation to maintain this balance and help with building the future. I would like to thank the Foundation Executive, to welcome Mark Joel, Foundation CEO, on board, and specially thank David Gold, Foundation President, for his dedication and advice over the year. This year, I would like to thank the members of the Scopus Foundation who responded so generously to our emergency campaign, and members of the broader Scopus family who donated to our Rosh Hashanah campaign. Their support underscores the commitment of the college in helping families in need. I extend appreciation to all members of the Parents Association, led by co-presidents Natasha Myman and Tully Stein. We thank them for their tireless efforts and contribution to the Scopus family. Tonight provides an opportunity to reflect on what has been a challenging, difficult, and unforgettable year. Despite all the trials, Mount Scopus ensured our students were engaged and provided with a different suite of opportunities to the regular school year. We are indebted to the staff, students, and parents for coming together and enriching the vibrant tapestry that defines Mount Scopus school spirit. In all of its 71 years, never have we been prouder to say Chazak Ve'ematz.
This year, we faced all new challenges, but at Scopus, our dedication to learning and our resilience prevailed. Nothing was going to stop our teachers from teaching and us, the students, from learning. Scopus at home meant adapting to the new technology and finding new creative ways to learn. Classes looked a little bit different this year, but one thing remained the same. Scopus continued to deliver excellence in learning.
Addressing you for the last time, Ralph and I are both humbled and honoured to be a part of the class of 2020.
It wouldn't be too much of a stretch to say that this year has presented one of the most difficult challenges that VCE students have ever had to face. But despite being locked in our homes for almost half of the year, our year level maintained a strong sense of unity and an extraordinary amount of levity, guiding the school community with passion and determination.
You say that like you're so surprised that the class of 2020 handled the situation so well. You clearly don't remember the last 14 years. We've been preparing for stuff like this our whole lives. For instance, Scopus began conditioning us to deal with an irregular sleep pattern as early as prep, when we transitioned from finishing school at 12 p.m. in kinder to 3 p.m. on a Friday.
Oh, right. Just like in year 3 when we memorised Life is a Highway and True Colours for our graduation, developing an ethic of studious hard work. You can really tell that the effort paid off when you listen to the recording. Unfortunately, all videos of our graduation have been lost, and so you'll just have to take my word for it.
Upon moving to Burwood, we learnt to stand up for ourselves, forced to confront the Year 12s if we wanted a free seat on the bus. Consequently, we experienced the first painful pang of rejection when we inevitably didn't get one. This prepared us particularly well for religion corrections, musical auditions, and inter-school sport tryouts.
As with every other year, adapting to unfamiliar circumstances has been an essential element of school. As Year 7s preparing to enter a big school with big students, our teachers ensured that we integrated smoothly into the foreign environment, as we did this year.
Taking part in the Roots project in Year 8, we were made aware of the significance of family, allowing us to better appreciate their crucial and invaluable role in our lives, especially during these difficult times. Ensuring that we keep sane and healthy, they have been a necessary support network throughout this and every other year. Hopping on a plane for the first time without our families, heading to Israel, we had to be independent. Nevertheless, while adjusting to our newfound autonomy, we had to rely on each other, strengthening our already deep-rooted sense of unity. We came to the epiphany that to be an individual in a collective made us more powerful. Remaining united has never been as important as it has this year, and we are fortunate to have such an amazing cohort to stand beside us through these tumultuous times.
Burdened with our first VCE subjects in Year 11, we were faced with the precarious balancing act of maintaining our social and academic lives. Through Shiluv the Shabbaton and weekly Shiurim, we were able to enrich ourselves as people and as Jews.
So there it is. Year 12 is just like every other year, with its own set of unique challenges and skills to be acquired. But most importantly, we are not alone. We are guided and supported by Mount Scopus and our families, and especially by each other.
This decade-and-a-half-long journey would not have been possible without the foresight of our families to send us to Mount Scopus and ensure that we receive the Scopus experience.
To the entire Scopus community, not only did you teach us the important skills of literacy and numeracy, even how to write a language analysis in under an hour, but you instilled in us values that translate outside of the school walls and allow us to become active and productive members of society. Since day one, our teachers' tireless efforts to nurture us as individuals have empowered us to become the best versions of ourselves. We are eternally grateful for all that you have provided us with over the years and know that these lessons will forever remain in our hearts.
And finally, to the people we have called our second family for almost our entire lives, the class of VCE 2020, who have stuck together through thick and thin and taught us what compassion and friendship truly look like. This cohort has shaped who we are, and our bond will remain ever present even after our formal Scopus journey has come to a close.
As we are about to pop our Scopus bubble, we are so excited to see the unique paths that every single one of you take and witness the way you impact the world. We know that Scopus and our cohort will forever remain in our hearts. You can take us away from Scopus, but you can't take Scopus away from us. Thank you and Chazak ve'ematz.
Our school was established to instill Jewish learning, values, and experiences, and nothing was going to slow us down. At school and online, we celebrated and commemorated Chagim together, we davened together, attended Shiurim, and Shabbatons. We even welcomed the sitting president of Israel in a history-making visit. Life around us changed a lot this year, but the pulse of Scopus, our Jewish life, never missed a beat.
Avi Cohen started working for Mount Scopus in 1987. And after a short break, he served continually for 25 years. And during that period, it's remarkable how much Scopus has changed, and changed for the better. But it's also remarkable how many of those changes were directly or indirectly the work of Avi Cohen. And the contributions that he's made to our school are far too numerous to list now. But I want to mention three in particular, which have been in some ways transformational. And the first is the growth of informal Jewish education. And as we know, it's the informal team that provides so much of the life of the school, the spirit of the school. And that's an area which has grown dramatically under Avi's leadership. And the next is formal Jewish education. In our school, we're intensely proud that Jewish studies is one of the most popular subjects that our students talk about year after year. And that's because of who teaches and how they teach and what they teach. And the Jewish studies of today is unrecognizable compared to the Jewish studies of 25 years ago. And we thank Avi for leading that change as well. And the third thing that I'd like to pick out from this long list is our flagship program, our life-changing experience, which we call Orpan. The ability for so many of Year 10 students to spend an extended period living in Israel, getting to know Israel, getting to know their Judaism. And it's thanks to Avi, but the program is improved year after year, and so much care is taken in order to get the best possible experience for each of our students. In addition to being head of Jewish studies, Avi has been deputy principal of the college and has had direct input into so much of what makes our college great. Avi retired at the end of a long stint at the end of semester 1 this year. And now, on this special occasion, I'd like to thank Avi for his enormous contribution to the life of our college and the growth of our students, and to invite Avi to address us this evening.
Thank you, Rabbi Kennard. So this is it. My final few words to my fabulous students and colleagues. Initially, I'd like to thank everyone for the kind words over the last few months, and particularly this evening. This has been a very long COVID farewell, but I've appreciated every minute of it. Just after Yom Kippur, my teacher, Rabbi Avraham Tanzer, passed away in Johannesburg, South Africa. And although I was only in his class directly for 2 years, his impact on me has lasted a lifetime. As principal of the school as well, his philosophy has helped frame my career in education, which has now spanned over 3 decades. He loved to tell a good story. And the one which always stuck with me, and the one I've told countless times, goes like this. It was approximately 120 years ago in Midwest United States, at the time when they were building railroads right across the country. And there was a famous court case. And the court case went something like this. And it was a very simple case. There'd been a farmer with his horse and his carriage. He'd been crossing over the railway lines, and he had been struck by a train. The horse had been killed, and all his goods had been destroyed. He then sued the railroad company. And he sued the railroad company on the basis that there'd been no warning to the fact the train was coming. Anyhow, it goes to court, and it's before a judge. And he turns around and he gives his story. I was there, I didn't hear anything, I didn't see anything, and the train hit me. The train driver said I was just driving the train along, and suddenly he was there, and I couldn't stop in time. It all boils down to one simple question. And that question was, what was the God who was meant to be waving the lantern doing at that particular point in time? So it comes time for the God's testimony, and he's brought up to the stand, and he swears on the Bible. And he's asked the following few questions. And the questions are you a God? He says, yes. Were you wearing a uniform? I was wearing my uniform. Did you have the lantern? I had the lantern. Were you standing there at the time? He says, I was standing there at the time. He says, were you waving the lantern? He says, I was waving the lantern. That's it. Case is finished. The judge turns around and says, there is no case to answer. Case dismissed. That evening, there's a party to celebrate on the part of the railroad company. They've won this case. And the owner of the railroad company turns to the corner and he sees the guard sitting very quietly in the corner. And he gets a little bit nervous. So he walks over to the guard and he says to him, tell me, please tell me that you were telling the truth when you were on the stand today. And the guard says to him, you know what? I answered every single question truthfully. When they asked me whether I was there, I said yes. When they asked me whether I had the lantern, I said yes. When they asked me when I was waving the lantern, I said yes. So the owner says, so what's the problem? He says, there was one question they never asked me. I said, what's that? He says, they never asked me whether the lantern was alight. In a sense, this story is symbolic of my attitude towards education at Mount Scopus over these last many years. In early 1987, I came to Mount Scopus Burwood for the first time and met with the then head of Jewish studies in the secondary school. He in fact occupied a small office in the corridor where I used to sit, but on the other side. It was part of what is today Rabbi Kennard's office. It was a very, very short interview, 5 or 6 minutes at most. I didn't get the job. As it turned out, fortuitous. Because later that year, I got another job at the school. I was a madrich on Ulpan. I went off, I started informal, and did a whole range of things which eventually ended up in me coming back to the school and eventually ending up in my current role. And it's strange, because just a few short months ago, I departed from my office, now on the other side of the corridor, a little bit larger, but really after over 2.5 decades of work at Mount Scopus. And it truly has been a remarkable place to work, and it's energized me over this entire period. It's obviously surreal saying these words here before an empty auditorium. But in real terms, Scopus has always been about the people and not the buildings. And in that, I've been fortunate. In all my time here, I've never met a bad student. Challenging sometimes, but never bad. Every student has had enormous potential. And for the thousands of students that I've had the privilege of teaching at Mount Scopus, that story from Rabbi Tanzer has always had meaning. Although I've worried a little about the content, it's never really been the dominant factor of what I consider to be important in Jewish education. For me, it was always the light. It was the passion. It was the desire. It was the want to learn more. Facts, information are soon forgotten. But a feeling is something far more intangible and lasts, as it did for me, for a lifetime. I've been asked many times, what do I see as the ideal Scopus graduate? And my answer is always the same. I've always wanted a Scopus graduate, when they leave the school, to make a Jewish choice. And what does that mean? For some, it means moving to Israel. For some, it means leaving a more religious lifestyle. For some, it means joining a Jewish youth movement, or the CSG, or being part of Zuz. And for some, it means something of all the above. But the most important thing for you, the students watching this, is to know that when you leave the school, you need to make a Jewish choice. Everything that we've done, that chain of thousands of years that you are part of, needs to continue for your generation and for the generations to come. When Moshe says his final words to Yoshua, he uses those critical words that we know well, chazak ve'ematz, be strong and of good courage. It's the words of a teacher passing on the baton to his student, to his disciple, to take it on to the next generation. I, as an individual, have been privileged to be part of this wonderful environment for so long. But yes, the time has come to say to all my students, their parents, their grandparents, and to all of my friends and colleagues, it's over. The time's up. It's time for me to pass on the baton. So as always, it has been an enormous privilege. Thank you. Chazak ve'ematz.
We may have been more physically apart this year. We continue to engage and connect. Whether it was within our own school, the Jewish, the Australian, or the global communities around us, we continue to raise awareness and funds for the issues that matter and people in need. To connect with the people whose experiences are different to our own. To learn about humanitarian issues that shape the world around us. And to bring joy to those in isolation and thank those who are keeping us safe. Communion service is an expression of our Judaism and our humanity, and it's a value that remains essential to life at Scopus.
Way over yonder is a place that I know, where I can find shelter
I get there, the first thing I'll see is the sun shining golden, shining right down on me. Ooh, maybe tomorrow I'll find my way to a place where the honey runs in rivers each day, and the sweet tasting good life is so easily found. Way over yonder, that's where I'm bound. Oh, way over yonder, that's where I'm bound.
Normally, my speech at Chagiga is a list of things that we've done during the course of the year and the achievements of our school and our students. To be honest, it's quite formulaic and quite boring. Tonight is going to be different. It's different because for most of the year we haven't done many things, and there isn't a list of excursions or sporting achievements to talk about. But it's also different because obviously most of what we've done this year has been eclipsed by one single great achievement. We have survived. We survived the first lockdown. We survived the second lockdown. And more than that, to the best of our ability, we have thrived. The pandemic and the lockdown has affected everyone. And it's been difficult for everyone in lots of different ways. Some people have got sick. Many people have had their employment transformed or even cut away. And for us, as educators, what has been most difficult is closing the school and sending home our students, in some cases for nearly 6 months. We have managed to create so much of what makes our school special. The learning, the life of the school, the Jewish connection. And we've managed to do that against tremendous challenge because of, I think, two things which are expressed in the two words of our school motto, Chazak v'amatz, be strong and have good courage. We've used our strength to work incredibly hard. Our teachers and our students learnt to master Zoom, although I still think the students do it better, have recreated the learning experience and produced lesson after lesson, day after day, through the medium of online learning. Our teachers have been tremendously inventive and have found ways to do sport online, art online, informal Jewish studies online. And the students have kept together with the rhythm of the Jewish week, the rhythm of the Jewish year, and have kept connected to Mount Scopus. And why have we managed to do this? Why were students and teachers and parents and the entire Scopus community prepared to make such an effort? That's the second word of our motto, v'amatz, be of good courage. Believe in what we are doing. We believe in education. We believe in school. We believe in Mount Scopus. And because of these values that we hold so dear, because of this belief, we have struggled, we have labored, and we have made it through. I'd like to thank our teachers, our students, the volunteers who oversee and support all that we do. I'd like to thank the parents for their tremendous support for their students and for the school. There are many things that we can learn from this strange and difficult period. We've certainly learned that parent-teacher evenings work much better on Zoom. We've learned that finishing at 3:30 every day instead of 5 to 4 is attractive to many, and maybe we'll carry on with that. But the most important thing that we have learned is just how precious is our school and how wonderful it is for children to be in school where they belong. And so although we have achieved so much remotely, online, at a distance, we are so pleased, we are so happy that our students are now back in school, all but years 8 and 9 who will be joining us very, very soon. And we certainly hope that our students are back for good. Looking back on this period, we know that we struggled together, we succeeded together, we made it through together. And may it be one day in the future when all this seems a distant memory, when maybe we have a vaccine or somehow we've learned to live with the virus and things will be back to some sort of normal. We will look back on this period and we will look back with pride at how we as a community made it through. Chazak v'amatz. Thank you very much.
Life at Scopus is about so much more than what goes on inside the classroom. It's about the passions that move us, give us connection to each other, and bring us the emotional and physical well-being that we need. Whether it's through discussions, presentations, or activities, through sport or performing arts, we get to learn about and express who we are, what drives us, and what we're capable of. We call it holistic development, and it's a huge part of what makes life at Scopus special.
Performing arts is a huge part of Scopus life for many students.
We were so disappointed when lockdown meant that our production of Annie had to be cancelled just 2 weeks prior to opening night.
But Annie is a show about optimism and the hope for a better tomorrow. So, in that spirit, we welcome members of the cast performing a medley from Annie.
Followed by the much anticipated announcement of the 2021 college musical.
It's a hard knock life for us. It's a hard knock life for us. Static treated, we get tricked. Static kisses, we get kicked. It's a hard knock life. Got no folks to speak of, so it's a hard knock roll. We hoe, cotton blankets, styrofoam, empty bellies, styrofoam. It's the hard knock life. Yes, it is. 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 It's the hard knock life. Today we're living in a shanty. Today we're scrounging for a meal. Today I'm still feeling cold for fires. Who knew I could steal?
I used to winter in the tropics.
I spent my summers at the shore. I used to throw away the paper. She don't anymore.
We like to thank you, Herbie Hoover, for really showing us the way. We like to thank you, Herbie Hoover. You made us what we are today. Prosperity was round the corner, and the cozy cottage lived for two. In this blue heaven that you gave us, yes, we're turning blue.
We like to thank you, Herbie.
Thank you, Herbie, for really showing us the way. You dirty rat, you bureaucrat, you made us what we are today. Come and get it, Herb.
I remember the way our sainted mother would sit and croon us her lullaby.
She'd say, kids, there's a place that's like no other. You gotta get there before you die.
You don't get there by playing from the rule book.
You stack the aces.
You load the dice. Mother dear, oh, we know you're
Down there listening. How can we follow your sweet advice? Easy street, easy street, where the rich folks play, where they play all day. Move and beat to easy street. When you get there, stay. The swimming pool is to the left. Inside the house? Oh boy. The tennis court is in the rear. I've never even picked up a racket. Have an instructor here at noon. I think I'm gonna like it here. Used to room in a tomb where I'd sit and freeze. Get me now, holy cow! Could someone page me, please? We've never had a little girl.
Never had a little girl, we've never had a little girl.
I'm very glad to volunteer. We hope you understand. Your wishes are command. We know you're gonna like it
Together at last, together forever. We're tying a knot they never can sever. I don't need sunshine now to turn my skies to blue. I don't need anything but you.
Hamlet needed his mother.
Woolworth needed his shop. Orville needed his brother. Or else
Eagle, flip-flop. They're two of a kind.
two of a kind.
Happiest pair.
Happiest pair.
Like Fred and Adele. They're floating on air. And what's the title of the dream that just came true? I don't need anything. Anything. I don't need anything but
Thank you all so much for joining us virtually for Chagiga 2020. The difficulty of us not being together has not stopped us from celebrating our school and its achievements. A great deal has been accomplished to bring you this wonderful night. Thank you to everyone who made tonight happen for the whole Scopus community.
Earlier in the year, while celebrating Yom Ha'atzmaut, staff and students sweetly sang the lyrics to the song Yachad. Yachad means together. Returning to our Scopus at Home motto, getting through this together, the physical distance between each member of our community has not inhibited us to feel that sense of unity and belonging.
We are incredibly privileged to be a part of the Scopus community and to have the opportunity to experience this togetherness. Here is that video once again, showing staff and students together, despite the distance.
Enjoy Yachad, followed by the singing of Hatikva.
Good night and chazak ve'ematz.
יחד לב אל לב נפתח ונראה את האור שבשמיים. יחד לב אל לב נפתח בתקווה לאהבה. כשהלב נפתח חובק את העולם ובקריאה גדולה נשיר לאהבה. אם הוא הכל אפשר זה לא מאוחר, השחר כבר עלה, זמן לאהבה. יחד לב אל לב נפתח ונראה את האור שבשמיים. יחד לב אל לב נפתח בתקווה לאהבה. ורק אם נאמין ובלי שום דאווין בדרך העולה זה שיר האהבה. לה 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 נשיר לאהבה.